but I think it was John Adams or Thomas Jefferson, one of those guys who said, it was something like this. The first generation fought the Revolutionary War so we could have a country. Now the next generation is going to build and develop so we can have a country. And then the third generation is going to create so we can enjoy the finer things in life, like the British people we just escaped from. It was something along those lines. He was trying to do that. And then the other quote I heard, I think it was during World War II, Britain was, like a lot of the Allied nations, were heavily under fire and taxed by their resources. They were trying to fight the war, and somebody said to Churchill something like, we're going to have to cut funding for the arts. And then Churchill said, well, then what's the bloody point of having a country? Something along those lines. And it's the point of having a society, so you can appreciate things like that. And it's mediocre sitcoms are art. If that's your thing, you work all day, you have dinner, and it's 8:00, and you want an hour yourself, well, then watch the sitcom. That's your art. That's the thing. Try other arts. You might want to read a Pulitzer Prize-winning novel one of these days, but go to a museum and go see the ballet. There's other arts, but that's art too, and that's why we do it. There's some places where they just work and then try not to get, killed by insurgents. They don't get a sitcom at 8:00 at night. So it's you be glad that you have these luxuries available to you, because that's the whole point, I think.
You heard it with Joe and his cup of Joe. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being on the show, Joe.
You're welcome, and thank you, Alex, for putting artists on display, for reminding your fellow countrymen what the point is. It's comedians, it's actors, it's dancers, it's all that stuff. So keep putting the spotlight on worthy artists. I'll help you find one, because I don't know if I'm one of them. Maybe this will be in the deleted podcasts show. One day,
Never.
Like, here's a podcast. This guy was awful. Now I'm going to show you what a podcast shouldn't be. Here, get really drunk and watch this terrible podcast with Joe Dungan. But thank you very much for having me and for all you're doing.
Thank you. Take care. Cheers. And there you have it. It was a really good conversation. And I'm so glad he stuck with me even after my stupid power outage here in Florida. I thank you so much for wanting to jump right in and not missing a beat. And it was really good that he gave us a lot of info, a lot of words of advice and wisdom. I like that he says that sometimes art isn't always a struggle. If someone tells you you're good at something, listen. Give it a try. Expand on it. You may say, well, if it comes easy to you, sometimes that means it's worth exploring, delving into it, and seeing what you can make out of it. Hey, this little piece of artwork that you did could blow up and be something more and lead you to a whole bunch of other directions. And I like his advice saying that, of course, you do it for a measure of satisfaction. If nobody sees it, reads it, or whatever, still, if you feel that nudge to create something, go ahead, create. Whether it is a drawing, a painting, poetry, a script, whatever it is, get it out of you. It could open up something else. I just tell you right now that me busting out my colored pencils and coloring in some of the Halloween stuff I'm doing, it's really igniting something. Like I have some other ideas for stuff now. Like, okay, the gears are turning. I tell you, I have another Spreaker page where I did voiceovers for comic books. And I did all the voices, even the female voices. My wife makes fun of me when I do that. But you know what? It was also for the fact that I did do them back when I was a teenager. And all I could do was record to background music. Like I would use a real song, like say Take On Me or People Are People by Depeche Mode or something like that. And I'd have the song playing in the background, but I'd have to stop the minute the person started singing. I didn't want the singer in there. I just wanted the instrumental parts. So it was really rough recording. I even broke up sentences. You'd hear the click on the tape recorder. And then years later, I was hearing those again, like, you know what? I have the capabilities of redoing them way better, because now I could just focus on the voice acting and add the effects and add the music later. And they came out so good, and it's just really a joy for me to listen to. I just listened to all the West Coast Avengers. Those are the ones I did, all the way up to issue number 24, and some annuals, and I got to do all the voices, and it was really fun and helped me better my craft, I would say, I think. And besides, it was just fun to do. I may not be getting paid for it, but it was great doing all these character voices and mixing it up and hearing the stories again. I always enjoy it. And you can check them out on VoiceOver Alex. It is here on Spreaker. But getting back to Joe, it was interesting, the whole thing about him wearing a jacket, and that booking agents like it when male comedians wear jackets. I didn't know that was a thing. Okay. But smart. Joe has his business cards available and ready to go. I told you I was at that networking event. I had the business cards in hand and gave out a lot. This way they'll remember that face going with that card. Muy importante. I like that he keeps a pen and pad ready at all times. You probably could record it on a phone with your voice, but there's something kinetic about the pen and the paper going together. And I saw, I think in the history of comedy, Larry David had a book full of things, and he wrote them down. And unfortunately, he lost that book, and no one ever returned it to him. That broke my heart, because think of all those ideas that Larry David had written down, and they're gone. And he probably doesn't remember them. So keep that pen and paper close and guard them safely. And finally, his advice about getting into stand-up, work on material that makes your friends laugh. That's good. Hone that craft. And, you know, if you can make them laugh, chances are others will laugh. So, thank you so much, Joe, for taking the time and being on the show through the power outage. You're a real trooper. I really applaud you. So check out Joe. We have his links. You heard them. Go check him out. This was a really engaging and informative and enjoyable conversation. I'm really glad he took the time to talk with me. It means a lot. As always, I thank him very much and all the other guests I've had. We have some more coming up. And stick around. Remember, you can always check out more on the artists at theartistreallymatters.com. Write me up at artistmatters1@gmail.com if you're interested in being in the show or just want to chat, art, or whatever. And remember, you can check out the show on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, and so many more. And thanks for sticking with me, and I'll see you all real soon on the next episode. And as always, no matter where you go, let your creativity flow.